Okay, assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Can I be heard? Do I have voice in the room? Can I get a one, please? Okay, thank you very much. Well, my thesis, my theory is that, or my statement is that the only logical conclusion made when someone presumed dead is later seen to be alive, walking, talking, eating, is that they were mistaken for dead. So I'll repeat that. The only logical conclusion made when someone presumed dead is later seen to be alive is that they were mistaken for dead. So I believe Jesus, who was seen after the crucifixion, eating food in front of his disciples, showing them his fleshly wounds, so that, Thomas, who was doubting it, he showed them the wounds of his flesh on his material body to prove to them that he was not a ghost, but he was the same person with the same material body. This proves to us that he was not resurrected, but he was simply mistaken for dead. He revived, he was resuscitated, he actually swooned on the cross. So that is my statement that I would start this discussion or debate with. Mike free.
That's your discussion? Okay. So, guys, did he say in the beginning the logical? Did he say the logical? Did he say that? Did, am I heard? Okay. He said the logical, right? Is it logical that someone you put nails in his feet and you crucify him on the cross and then you have only mark? He would not be able to walk. Do you know how big the nails they put in the cross when they crucify somebody? You know what kind of nails? Is a lot bigger than a knife. They will split your foot almost. So don't talk about logic. Now, is it logical that anyone he was crucified by the Roman and he was able to survive before? Is that what the crucifixion is to kill, not only to torture. So it is against the logic of the punishment itself because the punishment itself is to crucify, to kill. Secondly, you see this is a heretic. Uh, those Muslims, they believe, Muhammad, by the way, he copied some of the Jews who was living in around the area. They could not believe that Jesus, he resurrected. So they come with an idea that Jesus, he is God, who God made his body crucified. But the true Jesus never been crucified. This is why the Quran says it was made to appear to them. Where Muhammad he got this from? He got it from Waraq ibn Nawfal. Where Waraq ibn Nawfal he got this from? He got it from those Jews. They called them the Dutist. Those people, they are extremely, let us say, believers that there's no Jesus is a man. Jesus is not never been a man. Jesus always is God, and because he have the power of God, he made a body appear in front of us as if it's a man, but the fact he is not. So this is why those people, they said when there was a crucifixion in the cross, it was not happening for real. It was made to appear that Jesus was crucified. And this is where the prophet of the Abdul, he got his story from. This is why it says it made to appear to them. Now, if we discuss the Quran without going to those people who believe in that, uh, the Quran says it was made to appear to them. What does that mean? What does that mean? Dialogue, let me ask you before we continue. Are you an Ahmadiyya? Dialogues? Are you an Ahmadiyya? Okay, well, you are not a Muslim anyway. So we are debating about what? You are a person. Isn't it funny that someone who's an Ahmadiyya, he speak about logic? Like, is it logic that your guy who claimed to be the Messiah, he was married for 3 years? Let me tell you my story. I was Jessica for 5 years. And then I wake up, I found myself a Christian prince. So how an Ahmadiyya guy, he speak about logic when you are coming from religion, have nothing to do with logic. Ahmad Mirza Ghulam, when he went to the Kaaba, you know what happened, guys? everybody go around the Kaaba except Ahmad Mirza. The Kaaba was going around him. I think it was the hash hash. Too much drugs. The Kaaba is going around him. Why? Who is the one is fixed and who is the one is movable? So when someone he is an Ahmadiyya and then he speak in the logic, he is very funny. And then guys, Jesus, he disappeared. He wasn't crucified. He disappeared. He appeared where? He appeared in India. But when? After 2,000 years. So where he was living in earth? He was living in earth under what? Like what he was? From the time he was, let us say, disappeared in Jerusalem, as this guy, he said he was crucified. He was not raised from the death. Until he appeared in India as Ahmad Mirza Ghulam, where he was, what he was doing, dialogue. Your mic.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, with regards to your statement about logic, about being Mary for 3 years, he very clearly stated that this was a metaphor, that he was like Mary, that Mary was devoted to God. Similarly, he was devoted to God, thoroughly devoted to God. So this was a metaphor. He clearly stated that he was using it as a metaphor, that first he was like Mary, then he became like Jesus, metaphorically speaking, not a reincarnation, not that he was like Jessica for 3 years or whatever. He very clearly stated he was a metaphor. Now, with regards to your statement about the Kaaba going around Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam, actually that is a statement about Guru Nanak, the Sikh, the founder of the Sikhs, not about Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam. But let me go back to about the crucifixion. You said the nails in his feet were too big. He would not be able to walk. Well, actually, the nails are not life-threatening wounds. And the thieves who were nailed on the cross with Jesus, they had to break their legs. Why? Because they survived the crucifixion. If they had been taken down from the cross, they would have walked away alive. They would have walked alive. In fact, there are people in the Philippines, Christians, Catholics, I think, who crucify themselves, who nail themselves to the cross, and after a few days they are taken down and they survive. In fact, Josephus talks about one of his friends who was crucified, who was nailed to the cross, and he begged the Romans that he was one of his friends and he should be taken down, and he was taken down and he survived. So this is recorded in history. Crucifixion normally took about an average of 3 days, sometimes even up to 7 days, and rarely 9 days has been reported. And Jesus was on the cross, depending upon which gospel you read, for 3 hours according to one gospel, and for 6 hours according to another gospel. So 3 to 6 hours is simply not enough to bring about death on the cross. When you're talking about days, hours is simply not enough. Leave aside the contradiction between the gospels. 3 hours, 6 hours, big deal. Okay? But the fact is that those hours were simply not enough to bring about death on the cross. Now you asked, what does it mean, made to appear to them? Because the Quran says, وَمَا كَتَلُوهُ وَمَا سَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُم. That is, he appeared to them like so. So what it means is that Jesus appeared to them like a crucified person. He appeared to them as though he had died on the cross. But he didn't actually die. It was only a conjecture. And they were not certain about it. They did not kill him for certain. This is what the verse of the Quran says. وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. So what the Quran is talking about is Jesus appearing to them like a dead person. And in fact, when Jesus was on the cross, and he was taken down from the cross, his vital signs were not checked. These days they check the vital signs, the blood pressure, the temperature, the pulse, and the respiratory rate. But in those days they did not use to check these vital signs to certify anyone dead. The Roman soldiers were not physicians anyway. So we do not have definitive proof that Jesus actually died on the cross. It is just conjecture. It is just supposition, a presumption. They assumed that he died. Why did they assume that he died? Because he bowed his head. After he finished receiving a drink on the cross, according to John chapter 19 verse 30, he bowed his head, and this was mistaken as a sign of death. They presumed that he gave up the ghost after he bowed his head. But actually it is very interesting from the logical point of view. It is very interesting that he bowed his head after receiving the drink. The question that would be asked is, what was in the drink that made him bow his head? Was it an opiate, perhaps? Maybe some friends of Jesus put an opiate in the drink because they wanted him to appear as though he had died. So maybe that is the meaning of the verse. He was made to appear to them like so. That is, he was made to appear to them as though he had died on the cross by giving him a drink, which rendered him unconscious. Okay, your mic.
Alright. Am I heard, guys? Am I heard? You see, the funny that you forgot, and you claim that you are knowledgeable about the crucifixion, that they did use an arrow and they hit Jesus in his chest. And the Bible says blood and water came out. And according to science, that only dead men, dead ones, water will come from their body. So when you say it was only crucifixion, you are first lying. It's not only the nails. When I mentioned the nails, I was saying how he was walking around with the nails. Somebody, he just put nails, you know. He need to recover. He need some time. He need to go to put bandage around his arms, his hand and his feet. Correct, guys? I did not mention the death. I was mentioning how somebody was just crucified. He was walking around as if nothing happened, but yet he have wound as marks only, which means there's no wound really, only mark. Now, when they used the arrow to hit him and the blood and water came out, that is a sign of his death. However, do you have any proof of the whole story you are coming from? You are coming just with assumption. You know, just to show you how stupid the Islamic religion and whoever follow of this cult, because Ahmadiyya is nothing but a baby of the Islam. 600 years after Jesus was crucified, a guy in Saudi Arabia who never met Jesus, who never witnessed to Jesus, he said, it appeared. Actually, that alone is enough to prove that all Muslims are a bunch of liars. Why? Because it says it appeared to us that he was crucified, which means none of those who was there for a second, he thought he is not dead. None. And this guy, he's saying maybe the follower of Jesus, they gave him a drink. The Quran says none knows if he really, none of them think he was not him. It appeared to be him. According to Muhammad's story, Allah made someone look in the likeness of Jesus. So obviously you are saying, you know, Muhammad and his followers are a bunch of liars, and the Ahmadiyya in India, they are the one who knows. Someone who came not only 600 years after Jesus, he came 2,000 years after Jesus. He know what happened to Jesus. And he come to us with the maybe story. You know, maybe you remind me of Harun Yahya. You can read my book about Harun Yahya, the liar. All the miracles of the Quran start with maybe. Maybe Allah he mean, like what? Maybe? Do he mean or he maybe mean? And when I say that Ahmad Mirza Ghulam, he was married for 3 years, you said it's a metaphorical. You know what metaphorical? Show me. Can you show me? I want to read the script. Post it in the front of the room. And everybody will laugh at you. Because Ahmadiyya are the best liars ever. They think nobody knows, nobody read their books. What the point of saying that Jesus was not crucified? The one who was able to raise people from death, why he will not be able to raise himself from death? You see, the Muslims believe that Jesus, he raised people from death, so which means he have a power over death. And the funny, he said it's logical. It's not logical to believe he was crucified. Why is not logical? Like why is not logical? A guy, they put him on the cross. They put nails in his hands and his feet. And they put an arrow in his stomach. And the blood came out. Like, do you think they were just making a cut? Like, look, 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 making a tattoo? They shoot the arrow to kill him. And after all of this, maybe he gave him a drink. Maybe they gave him vodka. So Jesus, he drank the vodka, and I'm dead. Okay. And now the people, they took him down, and then Jesus, after that, I'm now okay. Man, what was have a drink? I have a headache. Man, who gave me the drink? That drink, right? Actually, they gave him the vinegar just to make fun of him. He is thirsty. He wants water. Instead of giving him, it was not really a drink. It was something to like. It's not good, you know. So you see the logic of those Ahmadiyya is very funny. They try to play with words, and when you put them in the corner, they say it's a metaphorical. It is what? Metaphorical. Everything in their religion is a metaphorical, which means you cannot really corner them, because anything, you know, I say shoes, it's a metaphorical, it's not shoes. Like we said, he was married for 3 years. He said it's a metaphorical of Mary. What he have to do with Mary anyway? What do you mean I was like Mary for 3 years? What do you mean? Where do you get the story of Mary for 3 years anyway? Like, can you show me where you get this story from? Guys, Mary was in a problem for 3 years. What is that? What is that problem? Mary, she designated herself to God for 3 years. Where do you get this from? What 3 years? Can you show me where you get the reference? It's nothing but a fabrication. You know, one of the things Ahmad Mirza, he said, it is a habit of Allah. It's a habit, guys, habit. You see, Allah is like a boyfriend. It's a habit of Allah with me that he tell me about the coming of the money and the gifts before I receive it, by inspiration on the dream. And I receive many kind of inspiration like that for more than 50,000 inspiration. Like, just wait. This is mean that Ahmad Mirza Ghulam, he received more than 50,000 money as gifts. 50,000 times, not $50,000. This guy, he became a billionaire. Allah, he inspired him not about what happened to Jesus. He inspired him about the money will come to him. And it is a habit of Allah to tell me about money will come to me as a gift. And the number of those gifts I receive, or the inspiration of gift I receive, exceed more than 50,000 times. Obviously, this guy, when the Ahmadiyya says this guy is the Messiah, this guy is a scam. Christians in the room, did Jesus ever get paid for anything he did? Did Jesus get paid for anything? Did he receive any gifts? Did he get gifts? How we can talk about this guy to say he is Jesus? Obviously, this guy is a scam. He is about money. God, he inspire him about money he will receive. Christ never asked for any. He raised people from death for free. He saved the sick for free. He never took money. He never took wages. He never asked for wages. Actually, he said, for free you took, for free you give. I mean to that. Everything you do it for free. You don't ask for a return. This is the whole idea of the teaching of Jesus. In the other hand, we have Ahmad Mirza, who Allah, it's a habit of Allah. Inspiration coming, guys. Hello. Listen to it. This is Allah from India speaking to you. Listen to me carefully. Tomorrow by 11 o'clock, you are going to receive $200 from Dada. He will pay for your tooth. Thank you very much. MashaAllah, I just received inspiration that Jada, she was going to give me $200 to pay for my new shoes. Tililim, 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 tililim. Hello, Christian Prince. This is Dr. Zakir Naik. I am the Secretary of Allah. I want to inform you that tomorrow you are going to receive $800 as a gift from Calavera. And it's going to come in a hard copy, which means it's not a tech. Don't ever take a tech. Take that only. Don't trust the scammers. Thank you, Allah. 50,000 times Allah inspire him about gift or receiving. Unbelievable. And you know, the funny that the Messiah of India, he worked for Her Majesty the Queen in the post office. He was employee, the Messiah. You know what? The Messiah who can raise people from death. He was employee of Her Majesty the Queen. And not only that. There is one of the story about Mirza. That he forbid drinking wine, but he drink vodka. He made vodka by himself, and it is halal. In Arabic we call it araq. It's the same as vodka actually. Now, where Ahmad Mirza he got that wine is haram and vodka is halal? uh, it's amazing how someone he can create a cult. All of us we know. I spoke about this before. The British intelligence, they are the one who created Ahmad Mirza Ghulam. Anyone knows why? What is the reason Ahmad Mirza Ghulam was created? Who knows? Why the British intelligence they created him? I mean his cult. No one know?